Hi everyone, it's Jake from Univerus Sport. We just wanted to take some time today to go over some of the new updates coming to our travel module for this upcoming year. We've made a couple changes to a few of the pages and some of the workflows, so just want to make sure everybody was aware of them. So the first thing that we're going to look at today is the travel request summary. So this is a page that was featured in the old travel module, but has a bit of a new look and feel to it. So underneath the travel header at the top, the travel request summary will be the first option. And what you'll notice here compared to how it used to operate is that we've added a third status. So previously we would just have not approved and approved trips, whereas now we have approved, in progress, and incomplete trips. So as a trip is created right from scratch, it'll stand in the incomplete status. As any staff members or admin users or coaches go in and add in details to that trip, it'll move itself into in progress. And then once it is approved by a travel coordinator or another admin user, it will then be added into the approved column. We've also updated the process in terms of adding trips into the system. So now there's two ways of doing so. The first would be the manual way, same as before. So under Setup Travel Requests, selecting the Create Travel Request button up at the top, and then filling out this form. So selecting which team or club is involved, the departure and return date, the name of the competition, the number of games, whether it's a home, away, or neutral site game, exhibition, league, recruiting, or playoff, and then whether or not you want to add that trip to your athlete or coach's calendar as well. So that's how you would add trips one at a time manually. But we've also added in a travel import tool. So if under travel, set up import travel dates, you can click on. That will bring you to a page that will have a template here that you can download, as well as some instructions as well. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out a template, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. Okay, so I've set up our template now with a few games here with a couple different sports. Couple things to keep note of when you're doing this. So the first column here, Sport ID, that can be found on the Setup Sports page. So as you go in and create a new sport in your system, every sport will be given an automatic ID attached to it. And that's what's going to tell the system basically which sport you're scheduling in for each trip. So if I'm back in the system now, I can just go into the System tab, Setup Sports, and that's where you'll find the sport ID right on the left-hand column there. So for this one, we have a couple trips for the men's basketball team, a trip for the women's basketball team, and then one for the baseball team as well. So going back to our template now, we see the sport IDs all down that first column. Departure date would be the second one. This either needs to be in year, month, day format or day, month, year format. Either two of those would be acceptable. Return date is not required, so you do not have to enter it in for every trip right from the import. You can add that in after the fact. Competition name, you'll notice I've left blank here. So one thing to note with this is that when you first download the template, it will not let you use the @ symbol that you would typically use when setting up trips individually. So if you're saying that you're going to a school and you want to use the @ symbol, you can still do it. Just one thing you'll have to do beforehand is right click on that column, go to Format Cells, and then change that to text. Once you hit OK, then you'll be able to come in and we can say travel demo, just like so. We'll copy that down for all of ours just for the sake of today. Next, you'll see the number of games. So again, similar to manually entering them, you'll have the option to enter in the number of games. These will automatically then create slots for game sheets to be put in, depending on how many games you've marked for each trip. Selecting whether it's a home, away, or neutral site game. So we have 2 away games for our basketball team, or for our men's basketball team, that is. Our women's basketball team will be playing a home game, and then our baseball team playing a neutral site playoff game. And then that last column there is whether it's an exhibition, league, recruiting, or playoff game. Any of those responses are acceptable. So I've gone ahead and saved that template now, and I'm going to import it in here in a bit. If you do import any templates or any sheets that have any errors to them, so required fields not being filled out, or the date format being incorrect, or you're using a sport ID of a sport that's not in your system, it will give you an error message letting you know which line number, which column specifically has the error, so that then you can go back and fix that column before re-entering. So I'm going to choose this file here from my system, or from my local computer, that is. I'm going to upload it into the system, and then I'm going to get the travel request was added successfully. So then from there, if I go back now into travel, I'll go to the search by sport page, for example, and we'll take our men's basketball team, and we'll see our 2 travel demo trips there that we added. So now that we have some trips in the system, regardless of if you do them manually or through the travel import tool, you can then begin building them out and creating an itinerary for them. So I'm going to click into our first travel demo one here. You'll see that it's incomplete because it's just been added to the system. I'm going to click on the view details icon, and that's going to open up our competition details for this trip. From here, I'm going to click into number one, the trip detailed request. And this is where you'll start to see some differences from how the travel module used to operate. So up here, a lot of the same information, just a bit of a different way of displaying it. So you have your departure date, your return date, any first or second destinations. If you have any coach or trip leaders that you want to enter in their contact information. If you have an off-campus safety policy that you want to enter. But then at the bottom here, you'll see the itinerary section. So this is where you can now begin to go on and add just what's relevant to that individual trip. So before, this was kind of a predefined form, gave you options to enter in information if needed, but also leave things blank if you weren't using them. Whereas now you'll be able to customize each trip specifically to what's required for that trip to happen. So I'm going to start by creating our itinerary by adding a bus/transportation option. So I'm going to click add bus/transportation. I'm going to fill out this form, and then we'll come back to it once it's filled out. Okay, so I filled out the busing information here. So you'll see that there's an option for company, a bus type. This is also customizable in the custom fields option. A bus driver name, a pickup location, a departure date, and a departure time, and then a drop-off location, arrival date, and arrival time as well. So you'll see here that we're getting picked up at the North Gym at 9 a.m. We're getting dropped off at Univerus Gym at about 12 p.m. Then we've also added in options now for expected and actual cost, and we'll come back to these in a little bit with some reporting. But just for right now, we'll say that the expected cost is about $2,000 for this trip, and then it actually ended up being about $2,300. And then lastly, there's any options for any notes or comments that you want to add into that trip. So if there's anything that you need to pack extra, info about the bus driver, any confirmation codes, anything like that can be added into the notes section here. Once I have all that, though, I'm going to hit save. And you'll see that that will then add itself as a line entry on our itinerary. It'll give some summary information, pickup location, drop-off location, and times, and things like that. So I'm going to go through and build out a few more itinerary items. A lot of them are very similar, just with some unique questions, maybe to specific options. But I'll build out an itinerary, and then we'll come back. Okay, so what I've done now is I've built out our itinerary a little bit more. So you'll see I've added in a hotel for the night. I've added in a return bus as well as a rental vehicle to bring some extra equipment. With each of these line entries, you can always click on them just to get the quick details. So you'll see here that we have late checkout at 3 p.m. Or you can always hit the pencil icon to go back and edit things. So if that needs to change or you need to update any of the costs or dates or anything like that, then you can do so and just hit save at the end. If I hit back on the competition details, you'll notice a few things here. So one, our trip has now gone to in progress because we've started to edit it. We've gotten a green check mark under the status for trip detail request. And now we also have a itinerary that's available for download as well. So I'm going to click on that. And this is just going to show us a couple quick details in terms of the trip. This can be sent to athletes or coaches to give them kind of a rundown of the day and what it'll look like in terms of times and things like that. Breaks it down day by day for the trip. In this case, you'll see I've accidentally added in our return date a week later. So if that ever happens, I can go back into our trip detail request, down to the itinerary, find where I made that mistake, right here, and adjust that then to be the 3rd, hit save, and then that will update everywhere else now. We've also added some new reports to the system. So if I go under the travel summary report now, click into this one. This one will just kind of give you a glimpse of all of the details for each trip. So I'm going to filter this down to men's basketball because that's what we were just working on. Hit search. You'll see if there's no entries, then it'll say none's found. But if I scroll down here to those ones that we were just doing, you'll see that I can get a quick glimpse of everything that we entered in terms of the details, kind of give everything one last review before the trip happens, make sure that everything's set and ready to go, and that there won't be any complications come travel day. Another new report that we've added to the system as well, going off of those estimated and actual costs, is the travel cost report. So you'll see here under travel report travel costs. We can click into this one. You can filter it by sport. So say, for example, again, if we just want to look at men's basketball, then I can do so. I can also just look at, approved trips or in progress trips if I'd like as well. We're actually going to filter that into in progress just to clean it up a little bit. We'll find our travel demo one right here. And then we can see all of those estimated and actual costs for the trip. So for this one specifically, we had estimated around $7,600, ended up being just over $8,000 for the trip. So it's a way to kind of at the end of the year review this. You can always export these as well into Excel and PDF if you need to as well. Okay, the last thing that we're going to look at today is a minor change to a page that was here before. So many of you would have known the Setup Therapist page that was under the System tab before, which pertained to adding therapists into travel party lists. We've moved that page and given it a new name. So now you'll find it under Travel. You'll see here Setup Travel Staff. You can click into that. And you'll see that we've already come in here and added a few staff into this list. We have a student therapist, an AD, a trainer. To create a new travel staff, just in the top right corner, you can hit Create Travel Staff. Select which sports they're involved with. So say, for example, they're going to be the student therapist for baseball, then you can do so. You can click right on it. If they're doing multiple sports, then you can hit Control and then select multiple sports that way as well. So if they're working with multiple teams or they're going to be associated with multiple travel lists, then you can do so as well. Then you can give them that position name that you want them to be classified as, first name, last name, and email. This won't create them an account. It's just so that you have some contact information on your end. And then from there, if we go now back into a trip for our men's basketball team here, we'll take our travel demo one that we were working on. And if we go to the travel party list, you'll see at the bottom now, you'll have additional travel staff that then can be added or removed to that travel list for those trips. So those are the updates that have been made to the travel module for this upcoming year. We're really excited about them. As always, we're always looking for feedback or ways to improve. So if you have any, please direct it to our support emails. We're really excited, though, for the capabilities that this will add and the customization when it comes to travel, and hope that you all enjoy it and are able to utilize it for the upcoming year and years ahead.